Hello everyone. I'm going to be trying to do some more short form content for the next while as longer videos are in the works, mainly so that my mind can have a break from so many deep projects. I know that you guys like it when I go really in depth with my thoughts, but sometimes the things I want to talk about just do not have that much meat on them to really sink my teeth into. So I hope you stick around for this mini arc and you enjoy the content regardless. I will still do my best. Also, if you want me to talk more about Thomas in the future, then by all means, let me know. As some of you may know, this show was my childhood, and there are loads of things that I would like to talk about in a more in-depth video if I ever get the time. So take this video as a bit of a taste on what a big Thomas video from me could be like. But alas, let's begin. Henry got what he deserved, and the Fat Controller did nothing wrong. Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Manga Writer, and today is the day that I have finally reached my breaking point. This has been a video that has been on my mind for the longest of times now, and it has been brewing and boiling up in my head thanks to the years upon years of many different people talking about my childhood show, Thomas the Tank Engine. Thomas and Friends has been a series that has found its way into the hearts of millions around the world. It's one of those shows that just had something to it that many people either really vibed with or detested entirely. And one of the main things that Thomas is known for, at least nowadays, are the many weirder and possibly darker implications surrounding the world of Sodor. From trains puffing along inside scrapyards full of their fallen brethren, supposedly, to a full-on genocide that took place in the books, Thomas has become rather infamous in recent years for some of the dark content that people managed to uncover amongst its rolls of film and pages. One of the most famous examples of this darker side to the island of Sodor are the infamous Henry and Smudger episodes. These two stories are always the most talked about whenever a casual fan of Thomas jumps back into the show after many years, and every time this happens the reaction is always, without fail, the engines didn't deserve their punishment. I have heard so many variations of this take along with many other takes surrounding the world of Thomas. It's very safe to say that this show has sparked a lot of interesting conversation about how the world of Thomas works. But what I always found odd and a little bit frustrating was that the conversations surrounding this show seem to always be one-sided. There doesn't really seem to be many nuanced takes about this series. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I give you this video as a means of giving you another perspective, some food for thought, if you will. This topic is always shown through one lens and one alone, and I think as a fan of the show, I can give you some possible insight and even some rebuttals to the common criticisms surrounding this series. Criticisms that are not only annoying to listen to, but are ones that I believe are just flat out wrong. Boys, I give you my hottest of media takes. That take being, Sodor is absolutely fine, and the engines get what they deserve. For this discussion, I am only going to be focusing on the Henry and Smudger episodes, because not only would I be here forever if I was to go through every single accusation that is thrown at this show, but I feel that these two episodes do enough and highlight a lot of the more important things about Sodor that a lot of people seem to misunderstand. Let's tackle the Henry episode first. Everyone always talks about how this episode was dark, and that Henry's punishment was too harsh, with everyone laughing in horror at the last line of the episode saying,
"But I think he deserved his punishment. Don't you?"
But like my hot take says, yeah, he kinda did deserve it. Let's go over what happened in this episode. The episode tells the story of Henry puffing along with some coaches during a rainy day, and due to not wanting his green paint and red stripes to be spoiled from the rain, he stops his journey when he gets into a tunnel so that he can be sheltered from the downpour. When Henry stops inside, confusion and delay begin to arise, where he begins arguing with not just his driver, but everyone else as well. If we pause here and analyze the people arguing with Henry, you can see clear as day that these people are passengers. Passengers that have places to be. Passengers who possibly need to get home or do a job, but can't because Henry is being stubborn. On top of this, because Henry has stopped and won't move, he's blocking one whole railway line, a line that another engine might possibly need to get their own job done. He would be causing confusion and delay due to his misbehavior. This is not even mentioning the fact that because of his general rudeness, like blowing steam and not just his driver, but the passengers as well, the passengers passengers could now have a more negative opinion about the railway, making future business on the island of Sodor much more unlikely, especially when given the fact they helped in trying to push and pull Henry out of the tunnel, because that's totally not going to be an unpleasant memory these people have. The green little Cabbage Patch Kid is doing the workplace equivalent of a temper tantrum, and even blew steam at the Fat Controller himself when he came down. Henry basically just spat in his boss's face for no reason, and I'm supposed to sympathize with Henry on this one. Why? Everyone tries their best to get him out, but despite their best efforts, Henry refuses to move. Even when the rain stops and everyone tells him that all is fine, Henry still doesn't budge as he thinks that the rain will begin again soon, and what will happen to his green paint with red stripes then? Henry, you absolute tool. Once again, this is Henry being a massive inconvenience for everyone involved, but this time, it's for superstitious reasons. He could 100% just get a repaint if his coat got ruined, but nah, better to be a stuck-up child than just do the job he was assigned to do. The situation gets so bad that Thomas has to come along, which by the way could be messing up the railway's timetable because Thomas now has to deal with Henry, and while Thomas tries to push him out, Henry slams on his brakes and refuses to move. So not only has Henry inconvenienced the passengers, blocked a railway line, stopped doing his job, and blew steam at people when they retaliated, but he has now gotten other engines involved and refuses to cooperate. So eventually, and rightfully so, the Fat Controller just decides to say, screw it. Henry wasn't going to grow up and move, so in a fit of fed-up anger, he just decides to give Henry what he wishes, by building a wall, leaving him inside the tunnel, and leaving him alone, setting an example to all the other engines on Sodor, and have Henry suffer the humiliation of being teased by his fellow workers. I'm also completely sure that the Fat Controller did this so that Henry can be seen as the one to blame for that one railway line being out of order. Business on Sodor must be great. Now this all sounds harsh, but after everything Henry has done, yeah, he absolutely deserved this. He was that one guy in the workforce that just decides to be a nuisance for very small reasons, and because of that, he ended up annoying and pressuring everyone else involved. Henry could have left a bad name on Sodor, and because of that, he deserves to be punished. He is the antagonist of this specific episode, which makes it all the more funny to see so many people siding with Henry when the episode very clearly shows that he was in the wrong. Henry got what he deserved. Case closed. So that's my opinion on Henry. What about Smudger? I would argue that Smudger's episode is even more cut and dry with why he got punished in the first place. Unlike Henry, who decided to one day be a nuisance, Smudger was a constant problem. Not only was he rough on the rails, but he crashed constantly, which more than certainly got people hurt. He liked to show off, and despite getting into multiple accidents caused entirely by his own recklessness, Smudger just laughs it off and undermines the damage he causes by calling them a few spills. We also have to keep in mind that at this point in the story, this small railway is a very small business, so Smudger doing this is very, very bad for work. Smudger's actions were reckless and extremely dangerous, and to top all that off, he doesn't change his attitude even after being warned by other workers to be careful. Smudger had all the chances in the world to pack it in, and he never did. It's no wonder that the manager just went and turned him into a generator. The guy was constantly showing that he had no work ethic whatsoever, so you might as well make an example of him. At least then, he can't crash and get people hurt. Whenever a character does something wrong in Thomas, they get given a second chance to improve themselves. Sodor is very forgiving to the engines, and it's only when the bad engine in question becomes way too stubborn does the story punish them properly. Anytime something bad happens to the engines, it's usually because they did something wrong to deserve it. Karma is the all-knowing presence in this world. I find it frustrating that a show made for kids gets this level of bad faith criticism, all because the people who decide to watch this series have this warped perception of what the world of Thomas is like. The biggest thing they try to do is that they paint Sodor as this totalitarian state where engines get punished unfairly due to minor mishaps, but that simply isn't true. Sodor is actually quite the paradise for engine kind if you really think about it. They get all the water and coal they need, they get sheds to sleep in, they're regularly taken care of and maintained with some engines' special needs being accounted for and helped, and if they do something very good or very brave, they get rewarded with either their own branch lines or special coaches. All they have to do in return is work and keep the business thriving and well liked by the people they carry around. And I don't know about you, but that sounds like a good deal to me. Sodor is a respectful island and it's welcome to anyone. All they have to do is do their part and everything is all hunky-dory. And if you decide to be a nuisance, you get what's coming to you. Which is exactly what happened to Henry and Smudger. Characters from episodes that are by far the most misunderstood in this whole series. My name is Manga Writer, and I have now opened your third eye. Thomas is nothing like you thought, and I'm tired of people trying to pretend that it's something it's not.